Easy people, or should I say buenos dias. I'm here in Mexico in the town of Valladolid, which is in the center of the Yucatan state, and it's what they refer to as a colonial town. But I have my own views on colonialism. It's just another cover story to repurpose our history, keep us from the true nature of things. So we'll go for a little wander through the town, some really cool places to us to have a little look at, and then I'll get on a bike and head to another very interesting place about 13 kilometers from here. Ties in with some of the things I'm going to show you around this town, and I think you'll find it rather interesting indeed. So let's go for a little wander. We're at our first point of interest, the main square here in the town. It's only a small town, population of 50,000, and I think it's better just to spin this around rather than speaking about it. Let's let it speak for itself. There you can see the main church, the two towers standing in all its glory. Let's get over there and take a closer look. Just before we get to the front of the church, I crossed over to walk through this park. This is the main park area of the town of Valladolid, and you can't really tell from just walking through it, but this is laid out like a mini circuit board. This is what this park is actually laid out like, in the format of a computer chipboard, a mini circuit board. And look at this. Look at that church right there, the main cathedral in the town, sorry. Let's go and take a closer look. We'll go over and take a closer look in a moment, but I just want to speak about some of it. As you can see from the two towers on the top, it's got the cylinders that run down the side and the horseshoe magnets on all four sides of the towers, the two towers. And also on top there is sort of a dome. It's covered in stone, which, as we're going to find out, this has been rendered and actually rebuilt and repurposed. This isn't the original building that was here, which we'll get on later. And also on the front part of the door, there's some interesting patterns, so we'll go over and take a closer look. The main entrance, horseshoe magnet right there, but it's this pattern that has caught my attention. This is electromagnetism in action. This is the flow of energy. This is the patterns that it creates, the swirls, the toral field. And this is why we find this pattern all over these old buildings. They're not just there for decoration purposes. It is in homage to the electromagnetism, the flow of free energy, plasma in action. Look at that, look at the swirls, you can see. This is how the toral field works. And this pattern goes all the way up to the very top of this structure, right down either side of the horseshoe magnet right there. We can see the two towers here with the cylinders running around the outer edges of both towers. This would facilitate the copper or iron rods, which would help the energy flow down from the Antiquitech on top. We see the signs on top now. This is a later repurposing. This isn't what would have been there in the original inception. It would have been a huge iron antenna. But we still have the cylinders that run down the side with the horseshoe magnet in between each of the cylinders. Now I can't really get a good shot of this dome in the middle here, but it has got a dome on top of that cylinder that you see there. And also in the middle we have a capacitator with a mini dome on top with an Antiquitech on top of that. I think it's just paying homage to what was here originally, because we'll go and see the front sign now, which sheds some light on this magnificent structure. Iglesia de San Sebastiao, Church of Saint Sebastiao, Saint Servatius. The Church of Saint Servatius in the city of downtown on the south side of the main square. It substitutes the one erected on March 24, 1545 by Father Francisco Hernandez, in which the main facade looked towards the west, as most colonial time temples in Yucatan did. In 1705, the original church was partially demolished by order of Bishop Don Pedro de los Reyes Rios because of its profanation in the so-called crime of the mayors. So there we have it. This isn't the original building that was here some 500 years ago, and like I say, we find this a lot, and the cover story for it is colonialism, which we'll touch on as we walk to our next place. Sure if you can see, but in the middle of the horseshoe magnet is where the bell was placed, where it was just chiming. But that is just repurposing. That horseshoe magnet served a purpose for electromagnetism. It isn't there just to put the bell in. This is repurposing. We find this a lot. So we'll just walk into our next place now. As that placard said, the original building was demolished, and the reason for this, or so they say, was due to its role in the uprising where the locals fought back against the controllers, the colonial rulers at the time, and they decided to destroy the building. Now, I would just say that is a cover story, because it's more likely that the original building had so much antiquitech on the building that they just couldn't leave it there. But when they repurpose and rebuild these structures, because they are in homage to religion, churches, cathedrals, these type of things, they have to mirror the design, but they just lose the most important parts, the parts that would have assisted this electromagnetism. Mexico's story with colonialism is from Spain, and the UK, France, Portugal, Belgium, these countries that are really, really close geography-wise, have a long history of going around the realm and taking over these countries that had the old world technology, Tartarian culture for want of a better description, because that's a way we can just describe it. The free energy, electromagnetism. So they went round the realm and destroyed all of these old world power stations and hide behind the colonial story as the reason for doing so. All it is repurposing. They repurpose the old world to fit in with their version of history.
You're a good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Hey, good boy.
So I have another church here in the background. You can see all the horseshoe magnets underneath there. And there's lots of ornamentation on top, which it's new. These capstones are fairly modern. Would have been interesting to see what they would have looked like at the original time of construction. But I can't give you much more than just what we see with this one. Just thought we'd take a wander to it, seeing as we're close to it in the town, about 500 meters from where we just were. Lovely town, Valladolid, by the way. Really recommend coming out here for a visit if you come to Cancun. About 2 hours on the bus. Notice it being the red stone as well underneath. There's the capstones that I'm talking about. They're modern ones. Potentially have been antennas of some sort. Just thought we'd take a look at this building, just seeing as it's close by. But I've actually noticed a lot this red stone, this iron ore stone, which is synonymous with the Tartarian culture, on lots of the buildings. Lots of the buildings are coloured, beautiful bright pastel colours, but underneath the actual stonework is just like this, red iron ore. You see those bells that have been placed in between the horseshoe magnets up there? Like I was saying back there at the church in the main square, those bells are just repurposing because that horseshoe magnet plays an important role, a key aspect of harnessing electromagnetism. Here's an example of the original red stonework, which is underneath the colours, the rendering on the outside. It's obviously been weathered, very old, This street that I'm on down here is one of the oldest streets which would have been around at the time of the cathedral in the main square, and that leads to where we just were as well, the church that we just came from. Every building is made from the red brick, iron ore brick, which we are synonymous with the Tartarian culture. Just as we're walking to the next place, let's add a little bit to the colonialism story. Now, the controllers who went round and set up this world that we have today of business, where you have to pay for everything, the rule of sea, that's why it's cash flow, cash currency, bank accounts, banks, it's all to do with water, currency, cash flow. And they set this system up, but they set it up by force, and they went round to many of these old world countries that have great history, Mexico and India being two examples of that, the British in India, the Spanish in Mexico. And they set it up, and they erased all of the old world technologies and hide behind this colonial story. It's just their version of history, the way that they can say that they built all of the structures that were here and erase all of the structures that they don't want us to see no more, and set up the world of business. In the case of India, it was the East India Company that the British set up, which stole all of India's resources, stole them. Here we have another red stone church building and some spires on this one. Spires with also the horseshoe style magnets there with the bells in. Sorry, just over there, pointing at the wrong place on the camera, with the bells in. They look like they've been closed in with the stonework, so they would have been bigger. But still, just another red stone building here in this small town of Valladolid. Just as we're walking down there, these lampposts are getting my attention. They look very similar to the lampposts that we saw in Cambridge, old world lampposts. Now obviously these have been installed to mirror the colonial time, the old world time, but I'm wondering whether they are the old world lampposts, not these ones, but just a reflection of the old world lampposts that were harnessing the free energy. They look exactly like it, cast iron. Yeah, I would say that is what they were, just mirroring what was here already. These lampposts that were harnessing free energy required no source, well, no source that we had to pay for or source that we're made aware of to harness and to power them. Free electromagnetic energy. We're just here at the cenote in Valladolid, and there are many cenotes in the Yucatan state. Now, we could look at them as just a natural phenomenon and enjoy them aesthetically, but we could also look at them as perhaps ancient wells, places where the ancient world was storing fresh water and using this water not only for their own purposes but for other purposes. Now this is the one here in Valladolid. Not too sure the camera will do it justice there. You can't actually get down to swim in this one at the moment. They're doing a lot of work around here. It's becoming more and more popular, this town of Valladolid and the surrounding areas. But there are many cenotes in the Yucatan state, and I'll be doing another video going around to some of them and checking out some of the Mayan villages, the old villages. Really excited to do that one. We're doing that in a few days, basing myself here for a while, so we'll crack on with that. But right now it's actually time for my breakfast. My breakfast is included in the hostel I'm staying in, so before I start my 26-kilometer round trip on a bicycle to this church that is really going to stir the mind, I'm excited to visit this one, and time for me to refuel with some free food. That is music to my ears. Part 2 of the video. Breakfast went on a little bit longer than I anticipated. Staying in a really nice hostel in the centre, Candelaria, for those interested, recommend it. Breakfast included in your price, really nice breakfast, nice people there. Typical hostel really, you know, just get chatting to people as you do, which is good. And now I've got my whip from the same hostel, 120 pesos for the day, which is about £4.50, something like this. And I'm biking to Uame. Hope I pronounced that right, probably haven't, but you know, Uame, which is another small town, 13 kilometers. So we're on the road to Uame. Lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Mi español es terrible. Necesito practicar. Child stuff, but honestly, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing, my Spanish, so you gotta start somewhere. You gotta start somewhere. Disculpe, mi español es terrible. ¿Dónde? ¿Dónde? ¿Aquí?
Derecho.
¿Derecho?
Sí.
Ah, sí.
One block.
Ah, gracias.
Yeah.
Gracias. Taco. Oh, it's it? Sí. Sit down, ¿posible?
Yeah.
Sí. Ah, gracias. Gracias. There we go. So I was stopping here for tacos. I have absolutely no idea what is coming, but you can test me later on as we go through this little adventure in Mexico. I am going to practice daily and improve, and you can check me out by the end of this. I will be able to speak the basics again. It's been a long time, it's been a long time. So it is embarrassing, but you've got to start somewhere, and you know, everybody loves a tryer. Amigo.
The Mexican power.
Hey, amigos, amiga. Hey, adios, adios. Ah. Gracias. Gracias, gracias. Hey, good man, good man. Gracias. Take care. Hasta luego. Just shared lunch with the guys, coming on their work break. Really, really friendly, super friendly people. It's amazing. Hola, hello. Food's good here as well. Really, really enjoyed it. Everyone's been amazing. Yeah. He just showed me tamaringo. This is the drink he got me to try, and this is what makes it. This is what makes it. Tamaringo. It's bueno. ¿Dónde eres? Guayma. So this is the place I'm visiting. Nombre Iglesia.
Iglesia de Santo Domingo.
Iglesia de Santo Domingo. Sí, bonito. Artiste. Look at this. We go check, huh? This is where I just had my lunch. Really friendly people. Gracias. Now visitita.
Sí, ándale.
Visitita, sí.
Visitar.
Visitar. Yeah, practicar. Español terrible. Mucho practicar.
Sí.
Gracias, mi amigos. Adios. Hasta luego. So we are here at our point of interest, and as you can see, the geometry on the side already fascinating, considering what we're saying about these places being energy buildings, and geometry, sacred geometry, is sound in visualization. So we'll go over and take a closer look at these symbols that are all over this church here. These patterns are made during cymatics, which is the practice of visualization of sound, where you can put sound on a plate, blast through frequency, and at certain frequencies geometric patterns are made, and this being one of them. This is a visual representation, of frequency, vibration. Just a beautiful church, red brick. And if we look at the front, just up there we can see the horseshoe magnets at the top. at the side of the building. Of course we won't be able to find out, but I would put any money that you like inside them pillars are iron rods, and the stonework on the outside is just a decoration. Horseshoe magnets all around the side of the building. More visual representation of sound, frequencies and vibration visualized through the practice of cymatics. What a beautiful little town, by the way, this is. No tourists whatsoever. I was told nobody comes here, hardly anybody comes here. 13 kilometers from Valladolid. They've got other routes that people go to, but yeah, really, if you're in the town of Valladolid, you have to come and check this out. It's worth it just for this beautiful building on its own. You can actually see there, if you look in between the horseshoe magnets, the bars that have been placed for the bell. As I was saying earlier, this is just repurposing. It has the year 1582 for completion in this tiny little town. I'm not too sure what the population is, I do apologise for that. But it's a sleepy little place, nearly 500 years old. They're building structures like this with reference to geometry. Incredible. Go up here and say hello. Hola, hola, hola. ¿Qué tal? Quiet. Ah, bike, huh?
Bike, ¿cómo le dices?
Bicicleta.
Bicicleta.
Bicicleta. Bicicleta. Ah, mi español es terrible. Terrible.
dónde
¿Inglés?
vienes?
¿Inglaterra? ¿Inglés? ¿Habla? Un poquito. Ah, similar. Mi español poquito, Inglaterra poquito. Ah, hello. Hello.
¿De dónde viene?
¿Dónde viene?
How are you?
Oh, how am I? Ah, mucho bueno. ¿Y tú?
Mucho.
Is that mucho bueno? Very good? No?
No.
No?
¿Cómo se
But-
dice? How are you? No.
¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? Ah, Maya. You speak
Maya?
Maya? Maya. Ah.
Ma, no, veo.
Ah, sí. Wow.
¿De dónde vienes?
Oh, okay.
Italia, Francia,
Where
Oh,
are
sí.
you?
Inglaterra.
Inglaterra.
Ah.
English.
Inglés.
Yeah, different, very different. Yeah, completely different. Sí. Oh, is this, eh? Oh, see. Is this your talk? It's like we're going on a bike ride. We're going on a little bike ride to find the cenote. But I think all the children want to come, and there's not enough space for them on the bike. So there we go. Ah, we're two up. Dos. Let's go for it. Sorry about the end to that video there, guys. Both batteries died, so no footage to finish up the video. Just got back to the hostel now. Spent most of the day and early evening with that family. Really nice people. Gonna go back and see them later on this week. And that brings us to the end of the first video. Hope you enjoyed it. Plenty more content on the way. Catch up with you on the next one. Take care. Peace out.